So in this video, we're going to go over things to do when inspecting a used car. So first thing you want to look at when buying a used car, or even thinking about it, is look at body panel gaps. Because if it's been in a wreck, chances are body panels will not align correctly. And another thing you want to check for is tires. Especially if you're considering on buying a Subaru or a Jeep. If they're all different, the speed rotations will also be different. And you'll end up with a all-wheel drive system that breaks down or overheats. So in the engine bay, once you get it open, one of the first things you want to check is oil. Oil is basically the blood of your engine. If it is not cleaned properly, focus. And if you notice it's black, even when you inspect it, then it means that they probably didn't take care of the car as much as they should. Another thing to check for is your radiator fluid, or antifreeze. If it's clear, then, well, obviously they're all tints of different colors, but if there's no corrosion going on, then you're fine. Which means that the car is not oxidizing on the inside. And one other thing that a lot of people really don't check is power steering fluid. It's basically the main cause you hear whining on many Fords. Because they get air in the system. So there's not really a way to directly check it, but if you take a smell and it's burnt, well, you're pretty much screwed. Other than that, if it's not too shiny or too dirty, then it should be good. Oh, and I forgot to mention one thing regarding transmission fluid. On very modern cars, if you're buying something used or new, well, actually, when you need to expect a new car, oftentimes they only have dipsticks. But you want to check for is if it's red, depending on the transmission. Some transmissions actually use gold fluid, or even blue. Which essentially just means you want to make sure that doesn't smell burnt. If it's burnt, well, oftentimes that's a repair worth $3,000, maybe $4,000. So yeah, that's another side note. And in terms of the engine bay, that's pretty much it. Every car is different, so I cannot say this applies to every car. However, if you have a manual, obviously this car isn't because you have to have a dipstick. You want to test out the clutch. So for that, you essentially just want to put it in third gear, give it a bit of gas, and then drop it. If it stalls instantly, then the clutch is good. If it doesn't, and your clutch slips considerably, then you pretty much have to put in a new clutch. So underneath the car, the one main thing you want to check for is leaks. This car does actually leak a bit of coolant, but it's not a considerable amount. But the main things you want to concern yourself with are things like the oil pan if they leak, or your transmission. But the main also, another thing you want to check underneath here is the frame of the car. Because frames are one of those things you can't really fix. And if you can, they're expensive. So in this case, this frame, it's 2008. So for what, 12 years? That's actually not in bad shape. That's actually very clean in terms of no rust. And all this is actually rather normal, because on speed bumps, this is what people end up scraping most of the time. And besides that, underneath there isn't much more to check. Of course, you know, if something is hanging low, like falling off, then there's something wrong, just don't buy the car. And yeah, next thing is road test. When you're inside that car, you want to let it warm up a bit, and essentially just wait, see if any engine lights show up. In this case, there is none. However, there should be one, as you will hear. So I don't recommend redlining an engine. Just give it a little rev, and if there's something awful, obviously don't buy it. And another side note, if the car shoots out a relatively high amount of white smoke, that oftentimes means a head gasket issue. If it shoots out blue smoke, you're burning oil. Black smoke is just unburnt fuel. But as you will hear, or as you will see, why this engine has to have its check light on. Thing sounds like it's gonna rattle itself apart. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much the essentials you just gotta check for that most people don't check. Well, at least regarding drivability. If there's a creak or whatever, probably just normal depending on the age. So after you drive, you just inspect whatever is left. So such as door handles, and on my car, this is actually a really good security feature. The door handle on this side doesn't work. As you can see, they're locked. So yeah, if they try breaking through this side, it's completely foolproof. Another nice feature about my car that I've had for 2 months is the radio. You can't turn it down. So you can ironically say turn it down for what, and it actually happens. So yeah, turn down the radio, it actually goes up. But the one last thing I will give you advice on, avoid this.